give him all the beans, Vass.
You won't have heard of our next guest if you don't own a television and haven't been to see a film.
Or
For the
have been
rest
born.
of us, yes, or have been born.
Yes.
For the rest of us, he's in basically all of our favourite things, including, of course, films about our favourite bear. Paddington in Peru is out next week. So, former Q to Peru, because there's always much ado about Hugh Bonneville.
Here he is. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning. I love all that alliteration. Brilliant. That was
Yeah.
taking you minutes.
Mate, it's so exciting. This is so exciting. Yeah, I mean, it's Bond-esque. It's Bond-level excitement, isn't it? Because that's where Paddington is now. Paddington resides deep in our hearts, up there with Toy Story, with Star Wars. It's a cinematic great. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. It's lovely to be back for a third outing, I must say.
Unbelievable. And also, we have confirmation this morning of a fourth. There's going to be Paddington 4. It's going to be made.
Oh, okay.
It's just come in. Literally
All
just
right,
come in.
very good.
So that's good. That's
Is
excellent.
there a part for an old man in a wheelchair?
I think there might be. It'd be wrong if there wasn't. Now, I haven't seen it. It was at the wrong time of the day. I did try. I was going to go at 9:30, then something happened with another guest. We couldn't cancel the guest. But Haynar's been to see it. It's a 10 from. It's a Gen 10, a genuine 10
Very
from
good.
Haynar.
Okay.
Thank you, Haynar. And it's a 9 from Felix. Not because there was anything wrong with it, just because he cites Paddington 2 as his favourite film ever.
Oh my goodness.
So what's he going to do about
Well,
that?
Felix, I'll let you have that one. We'll knock off a point for Paddington 2 being great. But that's lovely. That's really, I haven't seen the finished version
I
yet.
know,
I've
you
seen
haven't
it.
seen it.
I've seen it when the bear has sort of not turned up a bit, if you know what I mean. I've
No
seen
idea
it.
what you're talking about.
I've seen it in various early stages, so it's lovely to know that it's been getting a warm reaction.
So
that's great.
warm, sizzling hot,
Sizzling
my friend.
hot, sizzling
So when will you go and see it? Will that be at the premiere?
The premiere on Sunday will be the first time I've seen it properly,
Sunday.
and I'm
Nice.
really very, very excited.
Tea time premiere or night time?
Tea time premiere with, I'm sure the obligatory marmalade sandwiches.
Yeah.
I might sneak in some
You said that
marmalade
as if
vodka.
you're sick of them now.
No, I love them.
There's a Paddington marmalade sandwich van outside.
I know, there's a huge queue.
Yeah, and they're dishing
Probably
them out
because they're
for
free. But
Yeah.
but yeah, have you? I think one of your colleagues just went out to get you one.
No,
so,
we've got them. We've got the chocolate, the pumpkin marmalade chocolate that goes with all that as well. It's all very exciting. So you haven't seen the film yet, right? No, I mean, no sort of anxiety for you ahead of a Paddington film because you know it's going to be gangbusting.
Well, you would hope, the trouble is, number 2 was so good, and Dougal Wilson is the new director on this. He's never directed a
Anything
movie,
before.
anything. In fact, they just picked him out of an
Yeah.
identity parade. No, he directed some lots of lovely sort of John Lewis commercials and warm-hearted adverts.
He's got it, hasn't he?
He's got it, but he's never worked with anything longer than about 3 minutes. So suddenly directing this whopping great big thing, he was very, very nervous, and I was with him yesterday. We went on a Paddington train, and he was very nervous about it, and all the producers were just saying, calm down, it's going really, really well, it's going to be fine. So we all want it to be great for him.
Well, yeah, great. That's a lovely thing. I mean, it's that kind of gang, isn't it? You're a very warm gang. John Lewis Christmas ads, music videos for Busted the Streets, Goldfrapp and Coldplay. I mean, this good.
Pretty good, eh?
So does he rock and roll Paddington 3 up at all?
Well, there's a good musical number, put it that way.
Oh,
in
there's
it.
another musical number! At least one, at least two. Now, we were talking about Paddington 2. We've been talking about it all morning, to be honest, the Paddington franchise. And we were talking about the fact that, yes, obviously, you've got a cracking movie in the original Paddington film. You had a great franchise. All you could do was mess it up, really. No, it's much harder than that to get a proper movie off the ground. The original film was great. Paddington was off the chain. The script was tight as a drum, and then you had all the fun on top of that because it's not plain sailing here. In many ways, for each subsequent sequel, it's harder, not easier.
Absolutely, the bar was very, very high, but I mean, the first two were rich with visual gags and little film references for those who know their films. And there's some equally lovely ones in this. There's a Buster Keaton reference in this one that makes me laugh every time. And there are some gags for the grown-ups, which are not sort of smutty gags. They just work on a slightly different level. And that's always been the great thing about these films. The texture is really it's on so many layers for the grown-ups and the kids. And it cracks along at such a pace. And we've got Antonio Antonio Banderas
I
and
know.
Olivia Colman in this one. And it's just wonderful.
It's great. I mean, obviously he goes to Peru. We can't say too much about the film because there's an embargo on it. But Paddington in Peru, I'm guessing it stars Paddington, and I'm guessing he might go back to Peru. We can say that much. What else are we allowed to say, Hugh?
Well, just look at the trailers. Gives the entire plot away, frankly. But we go to Peru because Paddington's got his British passport. Actually, that's a fun little fact that the producers wrote off to the Home Office and said, "Would it be okay if we used a facsimile of a passport?" And they actually sent him his own passport, and it says distinguishing features bear. So that was good of them. So he gets his passports, which means we all, for various reasons, need a bit of a family outing to get to bring the family back together. Yeah. So we go to Peru.
I'll just say 2 words: Aunt Lucy. That's all I'm saying. I have said too much, and there's some dastardly goings on, as there has to be. But we won't say who from and why because that really would be a spoiler. I'm so excited about it. What was the first ever day on a Paddington set like for you? What was the trepidation? What was the expectation, if there was any? What was the vibe compared to where you are now to where you were then?
I think I can remember the first memory that just popped into my head was walking onto the set of 32 Windsor Gardens, which is that beautiful set with the cherry blossom staircase and the spiral staircase. And there was a visual gag that struck me, which nobody else has ever noticed, which at the bottom of the stairs there was an alabaster sort of foot, quite a big, large foot. And I was sort of staring at it thinking, why is that there? It's the foot of the stairs. I just thought that was very, very witty. And every set was full of those little wondrous little sight gags, as well as all the verbal and visual gags. I loved that. And so many people said, I want to live in that house. And so that first day, I remember thinking, this has got such a warmth about it, such a lovely feel, and that's continued throughout the other two films.
But warmth isn't enough. It's got to have a decent story, hasn't it? It's got to have that script going on.
It does, absolutely, and and nudging and tweaking it, and short is always better in terms of films. And I saw a cut quite early on, which was a bit badum-tish, and then you sort of tighten it. And the joy of the second film, particularly, is that the jokes whiz by. You have to, it's always on to the next little beat. And the same is true in this one. But the key thing, I said to Rosie, the producer, if they're not reaching for their hankies at the end, we've blown it, and apparently they are. So
that's great. So you're either taking your marmalade sandwich, and if you're wise, you're taking a marmalade sandwich in one hand and a box of tissues in the other.
Yes.
And try not to get the two mixed up in the dark. Isn't it great? Isn't it great going to the cinema? Because you have to be in the dark. You have to turn the lights off. My kids, Noah especially, he won't watch a movie unless all the lights are on in the living room. And when I'm there, he's happy to turn it off. But other than that, the brighter the better, the quieter the better, and always subtitles. I don't understand it.
Yes, that's true.
It's a double screening thing or a triple screening thing. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. But nothing beats going out to the movies to have that collective experience where one, you can chuckle away on your sofa at home on a really big telly, but nothing beats being in a room of several hundred people all with a great big woofer of a laugh or a pin drop silence or a snuffle or whatever. I just think that collective experience, and let's face it, we all lost that for a year or so during lockdown, and we're emerging, and cinemas had a tough time, theatres bounced back. Every time I go to the theatre, there seems to be a standing ovation, whether it's good or not, because I think people just like being back with groups of people.
Other people have said that.
And there's going to concerts, etc. There's the live experience. I think that's what connects us all. Forget AI. Is the live experience is what makes us human beings.
Which is why I think a lot of the music industry and things like that, they've just refocused all their efforts to these shows, and they've turned it into extravaganzas. The ticket prices have gone up for good or bad, but it seems to be now, don't buy stuff, buy experiences. Go along and buy experiences.
Absolutely.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think so the experience of going to the movie theatre is really special. So I hope people will come and see Paddington 3.
So the premiere is on Sunday. You've been doing all the publicity. You spent yesterday on this train. We saw the train in all the papers yesterday.
Oh, is it?
So this was a train in Paddington at Paddington Station.
It was rather lovely. It's got a livery of Paddington in Peru on the side of some of the coaches, and we just went on a little day trip and took some children out and gave them the obligatory marmalade sandwiches, which is an acquired taste, Chris, as you know.
But it depends.
Not all 5-year-olds love marmalade.
But there's marmalade and there's marmalade. Because we had a lady on the show once who she sent us a text, and she didn't do it on purpose, but from the text it was obvious she was quite important in the marmalade world, and so we followed it up. Anyway, it turned out that she organises the Marmalade World Championships, which are held in the Lake District every year, and then she sent us some of her marmalade, and I'm saying there's marmalade and there's marmalade because. I don't really like shop-bought marmalade. Don't like it. Yeah. But other marmalade, I'm all over it.
Wait, what do you win? The Golden Rind or something?
Yeah, I didn't know. You should do.
My gosh, I didn't know there was a marmalade championship.
Why not?
How extraordinary.
All right. Jess from Bristol says, massive fan of Hugh.
Thank you very much, Jess from Bristol.
Looking forward to watching the new film with my 4-year-old boy. I made my partner watch Notting Hill last night for the first time. Can you believe it? He loved it. And we're already planning a rewatch over Christmas. I forget what films you've been in, and then you put, there he is again. Amazing. Claire says, oh, Hugh, I cannot wait to see Paddington. I adore you. I bet you work brilliantly with my old childhood chum, Collie Olivia. Big speaking love. We can talk about the fact Olivia Colman's in it because she's in it and it's out there.
She's glorious. She plays the Reverend Mother who's in charge of the home for retired bears.
Right.
And she has a sort of guitar and singing nun fetish sort of thing going on. So that's why she and the other nuns like to burst into song.
Or do they? Dad. I'm saying too much. When you work with your peers, like Olivia, do you learn things from each other or not?
Oh, hugely. I mean, we did a show called 2012 together years ago, where I played the sort of head of Deliverance who was trying to organise the Olympic Games. It was a very funny sort of fly-on-the-wall mockumentary, and Olivia played my dogged, determined, and loyal secretary. And I once said in an interview about her, she can't act. She can't act, she just is. I mean, she's like Judi Dench, she just inhabits everything so naturally that you totally believe everything she's ever doing. And this film's no exception.
Yeah, we were watching a film over the Kate Winslet.
Same.
I mean, annoying for me, and I'm not even an actor, and I'm just getting annoyed on all other actors' behalves. I saw her in Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind at the weekend. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't, because I know Kate. I bet you probably know her a bit more than I do. I think I didn't even recognise her.
Yeah,
it's just unbelievable.
No, she's
what's the difference?
I can't. And I said the same about Kate. I did a film called Iris about Irish Murdoch with Jim Broadbent and Judi Dench, and she's got a similar quality to Judy. She just inhabits a role in a way that there's no artifice. It's just comes from the inside out. It sounds all very technical, but she just has a spontaneity and a naturalism on set that I certainly don't have, and I admire it when I see it. And you recognise it when you see it.
How can you get close to that, or could you? Is it just a different?
Well, I think the great skill, Chris, is not to learn your lines and just turn up and improvise. But I can't do that either. So no, I don't know. It's just a skill. It's a talent. It's a natural talent, and she and Olivia have it in spades.
We had Rupert Everett on the show yesterday.
Oh, wow.
He's written a great book. It's called The American No.
He's a wonderful writer.
He's the best. He's great, isn't he?
His writing is so fun.
His writing is hilarious. His articulation is hilarious. His spoken word is unbelievable.
The American no, that's presumably about the fact that they never in show business you never hear the word no.
Yeah, that's it. And he starts the whole book off with the definition of the American no.
I did a sitcom in the States in 2005, and it went off a cliff. But no one, still to this day, I haven't been told it's been cancelled because no one would take responsibility.
Well, it's bad news, isn't it? They don't want it. They're not interested in it at all. But he was great, and he's written this book called The American No, which is a collection of his short stories, some of which have been made into films, some that haven't, because he loves his writing. You love your writing. Is it a second bit of memoir? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Because I think there seems to be a law that if you've been on telly, you have to write a children's book.
Oh, right.
So I am investigating that world.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. Interesting that you're doing Paddington. Interesting that you've written a book. Anyway, you've been in lots of children's films. We know that obviously currently David Walliams is the guy. David Walliams, whenever he comes on the show, we get the number of books he's sold wrong by about 2 million. That's true, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
And he goes, and then David Baddiel came on the show, who's also a very successful children's author, and his total books sold, which by the way is a really impressive total, is the same number of books by which we get David Walliams is wrong, because that's how many more books David Walliams has sold than David Baddiel, who's also a great author. And there's a great episode of the Founders podcast about Dr. Seuss, which you should listen to if you're writing a children's book, because that is amazing.
Okay.
Because he didn't want to write children's books, but he was a contracted copywriter at the time for an ad agency in America, and his contract was not sole trader, what do they call it, key man kind of thing, where he couldn't do all these other things.
Yeah.
And he went through them all, and he thought, I can still write children's books, and so he wrote them because they were the only thing he could write.
Gosh,
What a good day at the office that was.
That was
a film there, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a film there.
Cat in the Hat was
the first one.
Yeah, was it?
Cat in the Hat was the first one, yeah. And he sent it to 75 publishers, and they all turned it down. And he only had a single manuscript because it was all he could afford to have printed. And he took it by hand to all the 75 publishers. And after the 75th, he was taking it home to burn it. And his mate, he bumped into his mate on his bike. He nearly ran his mate over on the bike. And in the basket was this script. And he went out on the floor, and his mate picked it up. Said, "What's this?" He said, "Oh, it's a script. It's a manuscript for a book that nobody wants to read." He said, "Well, I work for Random House, and it's my job to print the unpublishable, to publish the unpublishable. Why don't I have a look at this?" And he published it, and it was Cat in the Hat.
Good Lord, that is a great story. Wow, it's like David Heyman discovering who produced the Harry Potter films.
Yeah.
He had in his offices, he had 3 shelves of must read, will read, when, and the bottom one was sort of whenever. And the secretary took home this manuscript of something called Harry Potter at the weekend from the whenever pile.
No!
Came in on the Monday and said, "I think you should read this now."
Oh my gosh, some stories there.
Yeah.
What's yours about?
It's about 30,000 words. That's all I'm going to give you.
That's what you're going to give us.
That's all I'm going to give you.
Right, okay.
But I'm enjoying it. I thought I said to my literary agent, I have absolutely no interest in writing a children's book. I have no talent for it. I have no hinterland. I have no, big wizards or castles or anything like that, or time travel. And she said, "Good, just get on with it."
How did you start? Don't tell us what it's about. How did you start?
I did start. It sort of went back to a version of my childhood, really. And so my central character has all the adventures that I didn't.
Nice.
That's
what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun.
Paddington in Peru. What can we say? Give us. I mean, if anybody's tempted not to see it, or just trying to prove a point by not going to see it, how do we get them over the line? What do we say about it?
When the skies are grey, hope is the way. Says Aunt Lucy.
Come on! That's it. I'm going to buy more tickets for people I don't even know. All right, have a great Thursday, everyone. Have a nice rest of Halloween. That's Hugh Bonneville. Let's hear it for Hugh Bonneville on the show today. Thank you, Vassos.
Thank you, Chris.
Have a lovely Thursday, everyone. We'll see you Friday. Goodbye.